place, stating that after extensive discussions, it has been mutually agreed not to go ahead with the arrangement.
We decided to ask them for more money, and we've shot ourselves in the foot by getting no money whatsoever, is what I reckon happened.
You're a very cynical man. I just think it was, why would you dilute and detract attention away from, or focus away from what you're trying to achieve as a rugby club by having other people knocking around your facilities?
Okay.
I think Rowan Smith said, why on earth are we doing this? Let them sort themselves out.
Oh, so you think it's a regime change?
I think so, yeah, absolutely. Whitehaven have appointed former St Helens prop Carl Forster as play coach at the age of 24, the youngest professional in the game. The youngest in the professional game. Forster, who rejoined the club in July after 22 games on dual registration at Haven earlier in his career, replaces the sacked James Coyle. This is sensational, isn't it? A really interesting move.
He's been part of that 4 or 5 player group that's included a few more senior heads, isn't he? Since they got rid of James Coyle.
Yeah.
But
head coach at 24.
Remarkable.
Yeah. Good luck to the guy.
Yeah.
I really hope it doesn't backfire. I really hope it doesn't. Obviously, they've made a decision based on what the young man has to offer and what he'll have said for himself. So he's clearly going to be mature beyond his years, and hopefully he can have the respect to these players.
He looks older than he is.
Yeah, he's a guy who looks a lot older than he is.
I don't think he gets.
Do you feel an affinity to him?
No.
Would you say?
No, well, now I do.
Yeah.
But I didn't before you started saying things that I've never heard from
now that you've discovered that you're 10 years his senior, then that must be pretty heartbreaking for you. Phil Vevers is on the hunt for a new job after leaving his role as head coach of Workington Town. Workington have been relegated to League One after winning just 7 games this season. Vevers joined Workington in 2014 after 3 seasons coaching Salford. I've got a bit of a soft spot for Phil Vevers after his involvement with the Bulls and stuff.
I think he worked wonders with Workington with very little resources.
Absolutely.
Okay, a couple of star signings were able to be made, but it's been handcuffs completely. And with the club not being able to work something out with Wigan for this year, that just really scuppered any sort of plans they had of making a sustained push, because they fielded teams on demand many times this year. More than once, yes. Should I say, anyway, at least. And that's difficult to do. That run he went on last year as well. Was it last year, or was it, in 2014 when he took over the side? It was in 2014.
He lifted him right up, didn't he?
He avoided relegation that year, yeah. I think, with did he win something like 8 out of 12 to end the season, or something remarkable?
Yeah, there was a period.
I remember right.
I remember. I don't remember it as specifically as you, but I do remember him coming in and having a real boon to their falling, their breaking season. So, good luck to Workington as well in League One next season. So hopefully that doesn't. Well, there's a bigger story, isn't there, really, when we talk about Cumbria?
I hope both of those clubs can muster something together that'll be strong enough to compete with the likes of Keighley and Hunslet and clubs like that for the promotion spots.
Yeah, you would say so.
And obviously Dewsbury B.
Dewsbury B, yeah. And York now. Poor old York. Anthony Murray, the North Wales Crusaders head coach, has joined Gloucestershire Allgolds to become Lee Greenwood's assistant. The former Barrow coach took over at Crusaders in 2014 and guided them to victory in the iPro Sport Club last year. It was confirmed previously that Murray would depart the club at the end of the season, with his reign ending at Crusaders with defeat in the Championship Shield final.
Surprising.
Yeah, I wouldn't have seen him stepping down to become an assistant unless
the Allgolds are planning on really building something for next year through maybe a more limited talent base, so getting a better coaching base around that to push those players to maybe new levels within themselves is the move they've gone down. Maybe that's how they're spending the money.
Yes, that could be it. Lee Maples, the former Keighley and Hunslet player, has been banned for 4 years following an anti-doping rule violation. Maples, who played for the Hawks this season, tested positive for the anabolic steroid nandrolone and metabolites of the steroid oxymethylone following an out-of-competition test on the 16th of June 2016. 31-year-old is currently in his second spell at the Hawks, having rejoined the club at the start of the season from Newcastle Thunder. Maples is banned from all sport from July 2016 to the 7th of July 2020. Nothing to add to that, really, is there?
career over, I would guess.
There you go. New Zealand Warriors have confirmed the signing of Kieran Foran. The Kiwi international has signed a 1-year contract with the club after leaving Parramatta midway through the season due to personal reasons. Good move for Kieran Foran, this.
Probably so, yeah. And for the club, they're replacing Thomas Luluai, so
improving on what they had. I'm not taking anything away from Thomas Luluai, but Kieran Foran is potentially a real cut above. So good luck to him. And finally, Rugby League Cares has confirmed that the new National Rugby League Museum will be based in Bradford. The museum is scheduled to be opened in August 2020, which will mark Rugby League's 125th year anniversary. It is set to be located within Bradford City Hall, opposite City Park, a public space which is home to the UK's largest urban water feature. I'm sure you already knew that, Mark. Feedback.
Yeah, Colin Render got in touch, showing that he has a very different definition of big news to us. He says,
I think his definition is completely on the money, Mark.
So big news Tuesday strikes again. Good that they are finally getting something sorted. I agree with that second part. Lee Whitnall got in touch, said, well done Bradford, but one of the top UK destinations. Have I been in a coma? When did this happen? Well, around about the same, they had the largest urban water feature, I think, installed.
That's what makes it one of the UK's top destinations, Mark.
Well, there's,
It's a city with tons to offer. It's got a deep cultural heritage.
There's like Bronte Country nearby.
That's it. There's all sorts.
Maybe
the city of Bradford itself.
Maybe they've rolled other things in the surrounding areas into those statistics.
You've got the cultural melting pot that is Manchester Road and Manningham Lane. You've got great cuisine from around the world. You've got Little Germany. This is a fantastic place to come, and I believe in Bradford. And a welcome addition to the city in 2020.
It's certainly something that we'll be going and visiting
100%.
When it opens up.
There you go. We'll fit it in once we go to see Britain's largest outdoor urban water feature.
I think the two go hand in hand. It's a marriage match.
Well, you can't go to one without the other. I remember the first time I went to the UK's largest outdoor urban water feature and thought to myself, this would be a great place for a rugby league museum. Just over here, next to the country's largest outdoor urban water feature. Right.
The pictures, that the sort of Revit model images kind of that we've seen with the photoshopped ghost people on, because that's how they do it now in the pitching stuff. They put ghosts in there.
Spirits of all our ancestors.
Looks a bit like a nightclub, didn't it? With the sort of neon strip lines.
Well, that's how you expect the asset with these sorts of things, Mark. You have a museum by day and then you have club nights, don't you? So I'm all for it.
But anyway, it's great news that we're getting something sorted in the heartland of the sport.
If you're going to have a rugby league themed nightclub, I would call it Deep Heat. That's what my rugby league nightclub would be called.
Okay.
Do you have any ideas? Would you like to contribute to this one?
I'm alright.
Right, fabulous. Well, that's your news taken care of. Let's take a look back now then at round 7 of the Super 8s. Right then, it's all over bar the semi-finals and the finals then, and we'll start over at Hull. There was a massive atmosphere building, an expectant KCOM stadium, and it all fell a bit flat as Hull FC were pretty much dominated by a very well-prepared Warrington side, Mark. 23 points to 6 in favour of the visiting Warrington side. A deserved victory, I would say, and congratulations to Warrington on picking up the league leaders' shield.
More than deserved. Warrington were by far the better side. I think they did what we've seen them do repeatedly, which is win quick rucks when no other team seems to manage to this season, make tons of metres off the back of that with explosive talents like Matty Russell and obviously Darryl Clark, and a little bit of Brad Dwyer mixed in. It was Morgan Smith, wasn't it? So
yes.
A little bit of Morgan Smith mixed in this one. But they just... Without Gidley and Sandow, they were almost written off, weren't they?
Yeah,
and
well, that's it. They came in with a makeshift halfback combination, and I won't say makeshift because Ratchford and Patton are good players and very, very good players in their own rights, but it's not your first choice.
No, Declan Patton's a kid coming along. I mean, he's got an amazing boot on him, but other than that,
but he played with a very mature head on his shoulders. I thought in this one, and alongside Ratchford, whose kicking game at times, the kick he put, very intelligent kick he put through for the first Warrington try, I thought was excellent.
It was great play on the run as well. That was to pull all of that off at the speed it was being pulled off. And Matty Russell obviously deserves a lot of credit involved there. I think the weakness that we were perceiving was Sam Wilde. I think the shift of putting him on the right and moving Jack Hughes to the left, where he came through us but hasn't played a lot of rugby, first grade rugby on the left second row edge, was clever. It made everyone feel a bit more comfortable in the surroundings, I suppose, and compared to how they'd ended the game against Wigan. But it maybe without having those senior players to lean on if they'd let you down, which they might not have done, it removed some of that choke factor, because the senior players you were leaning on were Sims and Hill, who don't show any choke.
No, none whatsoever.
And
they dominated. They dominated down the middle at times, and they forced Hull. Hull started making errors and biting and fighting amongst themselves, and it just felt like as soon as the script started to change, and as soon as it wasn't going to be there, and I'm not saying they necessarily thought it was going to be their cakewalk to the league leaders' shield, but obviously, as soon as things started going wrong for them, rather than kind of reassessing and regrouping on the field in that early part of the first half and being able to kick on, they were looking around, and they were looking around for someone to stand up and do something for them. And it wasn't until a bit of individual skill from Tuamavave that you thought they'd start to get back into the game, and maybe that they could kick on from there. But that was really the be-all and end-all of them as an offensive proposition in the entirety of this game.
To me, it was the Hull FC that we had become accustomed to in the last few years. Of the physicality was there, the effort was there, the extra wasn't there. The cohesion in their attacking play, the leadership in getting the team around the field, and also that extra bit from the pack of not just making a good collision but getting something off the back of it just wasn't there consistently enough in this game, whereas it has been for the most part this season. And they were missing that, but they were partly missing that through how well the Warrington forwards played.
I'm choosing to believe that this was, I don't want to take anything away from Warrington, because at times I've been quite pro-Hull. Warrington were phenomenal in this game, and on the strength of their own performance, never mind Hull FC's inadequacies, they were deserved winners. And
it was underpinned by two great performances from Hull signings for Warrington. Westerman performed very well in the game overall, and Lynham's crucial 2 tries in the game was a difference maker. And for him and Penny to come back into this game after being put in the wilderness and apparently offered to other clubs or told that the future lies outside of the Halliwell Jones or what have you, depending on which player it was and that sort of stuff. But both of them have had shaky ground this season. For them to perform the way they did, the way they came in, they didn't let the team down at all. They played for those medals, and off the back of quick dummy half play and solid starting forward pack display. Well done, Warrington.
Yeah, absolutely, credit to them. And Ben Failer refereeing it like it was a grand final.
Yeah, letting a few. Well, we've talked about this throughout the eights. Ben Failer's
definitely playing for a grand final.
He's let the stuff on the floor go if it's the player's fault, sort of thing. Like if their team wasn't going to benefit, if the offending team, or the team offended, wasn't going to benefit from it anyway, or they tried to egg it up or whatever, he just was letting it go but being consistent with his lack of application of the rules. I'm not saying the rules shouldn't be applied.
I thought he had a good game. I thought he added to the game itself. I mean, it obviously wasn't a classic game, but his performance was very strong. Particularly when he pulled up Darryl Clark as well, and we'll have no more of that egging on for penalties, Darryl Clark. Thank you very much.
Which is what needed to be said after we spoke about it at length the week before.
Obviously, he's a listener. What did the stats tell us on this one, Mark?
More errors, more penalties conceded, worse team tackle success, all factors that were working against Hull FC, but the biggest loss was in ground gain. They made under 1,000 metres and they made nearly 400 metres less in total than their visitors. Warrington found themselves in more attacking position, they had more breaks and won the game off the back of all that.
Makes sense. Individually, who stood out for us?
Well, Matty Russell back at full back, where he might not be the potent join the line, get the play going threat, but Warrington don't play that style of rugby league too much anyway, and he is electric out of dummy half, and off the back of that came 8 tackle busts, 203 metres and 5 successful offloads. Chris Hill with 170 metres, Darryl Clark